episode, we are going to be talking about how to optimize your Pinterest pins, specifically how to optimize the alt text or the alternative text. In prior episodes, I have covered how to create scroll stopping pins, so ones that visually capture your audience, how to create keyword optimized titles and descriptions for your pins, and of course, I will make sure that those other YouTube episodes are linked in this episode so that you can check those out. But in today's episode, we are specifically just going to focus on that alt text. So in case you didn't know, there is a place on your Pinterest pins where you can add alt text. And when you're creating your pins, of course, you want to add a keyword optimized title and description, because when you are optimizing that title and description, you are not only giving the pinner more context about what your pin is about, but you also are including keywords that help Pinterest index your content. And when Pinterest can index your content, understand what it's about, it really helps the platform create a better user experience, because then they understand who to show that content to based off of their searches. So when you are creating pins, you will have a place where you can add the title, the description, and also that alt text. Now, as I mentioned, the description is really telling people what your pin is about, whereas the alternative text is really for people who are visually impaired and using screen readers. So instead of telling what your pin is about, you are actually going to include in that section what people are going to see on your pin. So like I mentioned, that's for people who are using those screen readers. So that gives them more context. And I will say you could take probably your Pinterest pin description and use it for the alt text, but tweak it a bit. Because instead of, once again, telling what your pin is about, you are going to share what people are going to see on your pin. Now, I'm going to show you on Pinterest how you would add the alt text, but I also am going to actually show you an example on Tailwind, because I am a huge fan of Tailwind and I recommend my students use it for their clients. When I've worked with clients, I quite literally require my clients use Tailwind, and I personally use it as well. So I only recommend tools and platforms that I love and use consistently. I am an affiliate of Tailwind, but it's so convenient and it's truly a no-brainer when it comes to marketing on Pinterest to utilize Tailwind. So if you want to learn more about best practices when using a scheduler, I do have a YouTube episode on that, so you can check that out in case you want to consider what could be all of the pros and maybe what people consider cons with using schedulers. So without further ado though, what we are going to do, we are going to check out Pinterest, look at the back end, and then also Tailwind so you can see where to add that alt text, and so you can start optimizing the alt text on your Pinterest pins. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay, so here we are on Pinterest, and this is essentially what Pinterest is telling us or explaining about adding alternative text to your pins. Now, I am going to add this link within this episode, so if you want to grab this help link, you can grab that. And when you're scrolling down, it is going to tell you that you can add alt text to a standard pin, so a static image, or a video pin. However, it's so interesting because Pinterest is giving us these steps and it tells us to fill information in about your pin. And it says title, description, alt text, and then the destination link. Very simple, step by step. However, I wanted to point this out because Pinterest gives these great directions, but you might not see this on your desktop or your mobile device. I was supporting one of my students inside my Pinterest Manager Academy. My students are personally coached by me, and one of my students had a question about alt text. So I was looking at something on my back end about publishing and then going back and editing and adding the alt text after the fact. And I noticed that I couldn't add the alt text after it's been published, which was strange because at one point I could. So then I went to just create a pin following the steps that Pinterest has provided here. And once again, whether it be on desktop or my mobile device, I don't see an option to add the alt text. And I used to be able to. So I don't know if Pinterest has just updated my account, or the thing that's so interesting about Pinterest is, like all platforms, they're constantly updating really the user experience, and what one person sees on their account might not be what somebody else sees on their account. And it can be a little frustrating, especially when you are watching tutorials or videos on platforms like YouTube and you're trying to follow somebody's advice and you're like, wait, that's not what I see on my account. So you might be able to see alt text, I can't. If you want to reach out to Pinterest about it, you could contact support. I wish I had a specific reason why I'm not able to see it on my account, but I don't have a reason. And I just want to say that, for example, last year, Pinterest announced that they were doing away with idea pins. And for months and months after the fact, I still had the ability to create idea pins on my account. So sometimes it's a little glitchy. Sometimes the updates are rolled out slowly. Sometimes we lose the ability to do something, such as adding alt text, when other updates are being made, and then that feature comes back. So I just want to say that if you can't see it, be sure to reach out to Pinterest help. You should be able to add the alt text, but the thing that's so crazy is I can't add it on Tailwind, which that's helpful to me because I'm always scheduling my pins and my clients' pins on Tailwind regardless. So that's just where I'm going to add my alt text for now. But I wanted to show you over here on my Pinterest account. I have followed all the directions. So Pinterest recommends going to your account. I do want to mention, make sure you have a Pinterest business account. It's free and easy to set up, but do make sure you have a Pinterest business account. But what you're going to do is you are going to follow the directions, go to the Save tab, and then you are going to scroll and you'll see a plus sign. You're going to click on that plus sign and click on pin. Now, I'm going to drag and drop a standard pin or a static image. And as Pinterest states, I should be able to add alternative text here. I see the title and the description, which, side note, if you are wanting more support with actually designing the pins, such as I have here, writing a keyword optimized title and description, be sure to check out those other YouTube episodes that I have linked here for you. Now, you have an option or a place to add a link, so that would be where you're directing this pin to. You can choose a board, and then you can also add tag topics, which give Pinterest more information about what your content is about. It's essentially adding keywords. So definitely add those tag topics, but you'll see tag products, and then I go down here under more options, and there's no place to add alternative text. So then I thought, well, maybe I can only add it or update it to publish pins. So I went to a pin that's already published on my account. So you'll see this pin here, it's already been published. It has some impressions, one pin click. I'm gonna click at the three dots at the top that says more options. Then you're gonna click on edit pin. You'll see on my screen, the right side, it pops up, it says title, description, link, board, and then more options again. Once again, I don't see a place to add alternative text. So I'm not able to do that. And I thought that maybe I can see it on my mobile device. So I went to my mobile device, and same thing. I don't have a place, whether I'm actually creating the pin or if I'm going back and editing an already published pin. So maybe in a week it'll be back. But if you are seeing this on your account, you're not losing your mind or missing something. I don't see it on my account. So like I said, these things do kind of change quickly, but I did want to show you on Tailwind that you can add the alt text there, which is fantastic. So if you want to learn more about Tailwind, how to utilize it, how this fits into your Pinterest marketing strategy, pros versus cons, all of the ins and the outs, I have multiple episodes on Tailwind, and I am going to make sure to link those so that you can learn more about Tailwind. But I am here inside my drafts, so I clicked on drafts once again, similar in some ways to Pinterest. I just uploaded the pin I want to schedule, and I can see here, here's the pin design. I have my title already, my pin description, and then when I click down, I see the pin image alt text. Now it does say optional, and I would go ahead and add the alt text because it does create a better user experience, and you could take and tweak your pin description because the pin description is telling what your pin is about, and for the alt text, you're explaining what people will see in your pin. So once again, that is for people who are visually impaired and using a screen reader. So you will use natural language because you definitely would not just want to use that as a place to keyword stuff. Sometimes people will do that in the description and the alt text. They're just copying and pasting a bunch of keywords. That is not a good user experience at all. So actually, obviously include keywords, but use them naturally and help people by sharing what they're going to see on your pin. So absolutely include the alt text, even though it says optional. You'll see a place for your URL, what board you want to save that pin to, then you can go ahead and get that scheduled. So I don't mean for this to be a tutorial specifically on using Tailwind, but I did want to show you that you can add the alt text on Tailwind, which is convenient because I'm a huge fan and I'm always encouraging people to use Tailwind. So that is what I see on my Tailwind account, what I see on my Pinterest account. Like I said, if you're not seeing the place to add alt text, then you might want to reach out to Pinterest and just ask them. And if you are, then yay, you can go ahead and add that on Pinterest or Tailwind. So let's go ahead though and wrap up this episode.
Let's go ahead and wrap up today's episode. I would love to invite you to like this episode and also subscribe to my channel. And of course, let me know in the comments your thoughts on this episode, but also maybe topics that you'd like to see me cover in the future. Nothing makes me happier than to create content that helps people and helps them grow their business. That is truly what fills my cup. As I mentioned, I do have other episodes on how to design scroll stopping pins, how to write keyword optimized titles and descriptions for your pins, and then of course, how to utilize Tailwind as well. So if you want to check out those other YouTube episodes, those will be linked in this episode. So be sure to check those out. And I can't wait to see you soon in next week's episode. Bye for now, friends.